Hey everybody, welcome to Special Report. This is TruePowerIsMine. Today I have Brother Abdullah coming in. Hold on one second. I didn't want that in my computer. Coming in live on the old Facebook here. Coach Abdullah is in Saudi Arabia right now. Basically, you're coaching young folks over there. You're a fitness expert, and I had the introduction in my head, but it just totally evaporated. I'm sorry, brother. You wanted to say for just the new listeners, many of them.
I wouldn't say a fitness expert, but I'm an old ex-athlete, and yes, I've been coaching over here since about 2009, and that's not how I got here. I got here teaching English in the university, but I've been coaching, and in the last, I'd say 3 or 4 years, focused on coaching the youth and coaching guys in the gym, and that's what I've been doing lately.
And that's
as well as many other things. I'm one of these guys that tries to wear a lot of hats. Business consulting, security consulting, a lot of different things.
So we just jump right into it. We're just gonna freestyle it. I just got finished, uploading that Mark for Anaheim, Carl Nelson show video. It took me like 4 hours to really do it all right, and I was literally under cyber attack. So if we start hearing a clicking sound, I got a program running off on the side that's it's like they're trying to ping me out of existence or some shit. I don't know. But we're going to talk about what I think that most people are going to be thinking about tomorrow, especially after hearing that show. So I just want to start off with the global warming. And do you think that global warming is contributing to the greening of the desert in Saudi Arabia? If there really is, I mean, is that even real, or is that fake news?
Personally, I don't buy into the whole global warming, especially how it came to us. I think it was the main part of Al Gore's campaign when he was running for president. And a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon. It was all over the media. Personally, I just didn't buy it. And then with further investigation, that movement of that particular ideology that was being portrayed in the media, I just didn't buy it. And like I said, with further research, I didn't buy it. Now, with that said, I'm not denying that the Earth may be going through different changes, different cycles, and I think a study of almanacs and what we have in recorded history, of what man has understood of recorded history or the world's history. The Earth has gone through different cycles, so I don't think we need to call it that. But as it relates to the Arabian Peninsula,
yes.
Me being a Muslim, I look at it slightly different. It's because these things were prophesied to happen, over 1,400 years ago. The snowfall in Tabuk, and that that the Day of Judgment wouldn't come until the Arabian Peninsula would turn back green and forest like it originally was.
Wow.
And that is the snow fell in Tabuk maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and with all of these floods, you're seeing places turn green.
Yes. Now, have you seen that?
There are places all over.
Have you been able to go out to the countryside and see this with your own eyes, or are you just getting it from news reports?
No, I actually have, because Actually, there's a lot of beautiful places on the outskirts of Jeddah and between Jeddah and Mecca, which is only about a 45-minute drive. There's the Million Tree Project, but that's a man-made thing. They had the Million Tree Project.
Never heard of it.
Well, if you try, well, it was a project, an echo project that the government of Saudi Arabia had to basically create forest, man-made forest, and they planted 1 million trees, and it's a very extremely beautiful area. But however, it's not that. I used to go out there because it's amazingly beautiful. If you go on the other side of it, just a little bit more southeast, you have these areas that according to the locals there, that just almost as far as the eye can see, greenery and flowers and things like that. And because of that, it attracted some of the locals there to start farming. And you have some other areas, if you're able to type things in Arabic into the search, I'll send you some links, and you'll see all over where you have really mountainous ranges. You see the greenery actually coming out of the mountain, out of the rock.
Oh man! Now,
yeah.
Can you speak a little bit to how does this relate to what the scriptures say pertaining to the end of times, not necessarily the end of days, but how does the Caliph and all this plays into all of the things we're seeing?
How does what?
Does the Quran talk about these things in the text as far as like a chronological events things? First you'll see the desert maybe, and then you'll see snowfall. Then I guess the Caliph will return. And I mean, I'm just assuming. I don't know. In that type of
this is kind of that last thing about the Caliph will return and everything. First of all, let me preface this. I'm a Sunni Muslim. Okay, so according to the Sunni Muslims, the two sources of knowledge is the Quran and the authenticated oral traditions of the Prophet. Okay. These are the two sources of knowledge. What we find in the Quran is over and over and over God either describing, warning, or describing the condition of different types of people on the Day of Judgment. So that's what you get, and you also there's things that God mentions about. They're not in chronological order as you're saying, but in terms of this thing will happen.
Yes.
Like for example, the return of Jesus, for example, and in an authentic, what you find more in authentic oral traditions, you find these specific descriptions of events that will take place leading up to the Day of Judgment. And these things have, been taking place. These things, especially in our time now. But none of and these are some scholars in the past, they divided these things into the greater signs of the Day of Judgment and the minor signs of the Day of Judgment.
Now,
and the greater signs of the Day of Judgment are things like the Antichrist, Jesus returning, Gog and Magog emerging. These are some of the major signs of the Day of Judgment. And then you have the minor signs.
Yes. Well, first, going back to the major sign, what could you kind of go more into depth on what are they describing in the major sign?
Well, like let's say the Antichrist.
Yes.
The Antichrist is very, very descriptive in terms of what he'll look like, and that it is a human.
Okay.
Okay. It describes how his eyes will look. It describes his stature.
Now, can you give us those descriptions, or no?
I could. Off the top of my head, he has wavy hair. He's a shorter stature person, but he's very stout and strongly built person. He has an eye. He's one-eyed. He only has one eye. But he has two eyes, but he has a damaged eye, and one of his eyes is protruding, and the other eye looks like it's damaged. So he only has one eye, and other things that's the description. His influence is great and strong, and even Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that if you were to face him, don't think that you could withstand him. You should run away from him, and if you have to face him, then you should recite these certain verses as protection. And in fact, according to the Sunni Muslims, this is part of our prayer. We pray every day in our 5 prayers, seeking God's protection from not only the Antichrist, but also his trial, his tribulation, because he comes with trials and tribulations. He comes with deception. He comes with deceptions. One of the things that he will do is bring a river of fire and a river of like, or you could say a cool river, or a nice, beautiful, alluring river. But in reality, these are opposites. The cool river is really fire, and the fire river is really cool. So he will be able to trick a person into believing in him by, for example, a person who has his mother and father who's passed away. He'll bring them back to life and say, "See, look, I brought your parents back." And another one, well, he will kill a man. He'll kill a man and bring him back to life. And he says, "See, now I believe in God more because my prophet told me that the Antichrist will kill a man and bring him back to life."
So who does the Antichrist really serve?
Well, the Antichrist is a trial for mankind. I wouldn't answer who does he serve. Okay. He's a trial to pull people away from God.
Gotcha.
Because the Antichrist wants you to believe in him. In fact, he will curse God, and he will taunt God. He will belittle God and fight against anyone who's believing in God.
So
that's why it's a trial.
Now, forget this question, but is the Caliph and the Antichrist one and the same, or are they two different individuals?
No.
If they're two different,
the Khalifa is a position amongst the world community of Islam. It's like one single leader, and that does not exist today.
Okay.
The last Caliph was the Ottomans, and that ended in 1924.
But now, when he gets to power, will he fight against the Antichrist, though? I mean, seeing how
absolutely, because well, maybe you're mixing up
the purpose.
Who will fight the Antichrist directly is in our belief is Jesus, peace be upon him, or we should say Isa. Well, that's what we call Isa. But for your non-Muslim audience, Jesus, peace be upon him, when he returns,
yes,
he will destroy the Antichrist.
Now, do they speak of
Literally, that's not figuratively. That's literally. He will destroy the Antichrist.
I mean, that's really speaks volume. If you know what you're really saying, you're praying. You said that you pray for protection against the Antichrist, and then you also say Jesus will be the one to destroy or defeat or subjugate, bind, and put in his place the Antichrist.
Yes, absolutely. And he will also correct all of those who distorted his message from his original message. It's not just he will correct he will come with justice.
Isn't that what we all seek? Justice? Isn't that what you know? I have no problem with that. I have zero problem with that. That's truth to me. So to put it back into play again, the Khalifa and his followers will try to go against.
Now, again. I think we're a little bit. Let's like centralize this a little bit.
Okay.
The Khalifa, as it relates to the end times.
Yes.
Is that the prophet, peace be upon him, said, which roughly means, and I'm not gonna quote the whole thing. It's just a part of it. Is that the Khalifa would be removed, and it is today, and it will return. And it has not returned. And ISIS in Iraq or in Syria, this Islamic State, this is not the Khalifa. That's, excuse my French, but it's bullshit. Okay, that's what that is. It's complete trash. We shouldn't glorify it or give it any sweet words. That's why I said what I said. Bullshit. And that's just the reality. And that's the reality. That is nothing that has no weight in Islam. None.
It almost seems counterproductive. All it does is make non-Muslims fear Muslims.
There's nothing that ISIS, ISIL, whatever you want to call it, whatever they represent has nothing to do with real, pure, unadulterated Islam. And they cannot defend themselves under a microscope. Let's go not ideologically, let's go theologically. Let's go text for text. And they can't handle that kind of pressure because it's more political than anything.
So when you do that, geopolitics, resort to violence. You know what I'm saying? Like, say you're kind of
it's geopolitics dressed in Islamic garb. That's all it is, and it's with a satanic, demonic methodology.
Ooh.
Because of course, what did they do? What good did they do?
No, that's what I was asking. I mean, like.
Okay, exactly. So that's satanic. That's on the dark side. That's on the dark side. All you do is kill, bomb, and maim, and crush and destroy. That has nothing to do with religion. That has nothing to do with my religion.
So then, what is your opinion?
That has to do with them wanting power and control by any means necessary.
And they certainly,
even if it means killing innocent people, killing children, killing people that. See, in Islam, we have something called a mu'ahad, which means a person who's in treaty with Muslims, meaning a non-Muslim traveler comes to your land. He's protected. He comes for medicine, for education. He comes for business. He's protected. So this ideology being purported, and it's confused a lot of ignorant Muslims. And you can go on YouTube and see these people are talking about the Khilafah. Look, prophecy in Islam and anyone who believes in prophecy of any sort, anyone who believes in any sort of prophecy, you don't have to do anything. That's the whole reason why it's called a prophecy. It's something told in the future that will happen. What does you have to do with that? Nothing.
Yes, that's true.
You have nothing to do. You will do with it. So the people who think that they have to do things, and if the only thing there is to do would be get closer to God.
Yes, I agree.
Perfecting yourself as an individual, cleaning yourself from all the filth and all the things that take you away from God, that take you away from being a good person, a good human being, good to your neighbors, good to the poor, helping the sick, protecting the vulnerable people in society like women and elderly and children, regardless of their religion or race.
Yes, this
is okay. Okay, so what does that have? If a person isn't striving in that direction, then they're probably in the wrong direction.
Oh, absolutely. They're in that selfish direction. They're in, it's all about me, brother. It's all about me direction. That's where they're at.
Well, I think people get caught up in isms.
Yes, we do.
So to keep tying this into this whole Khalifa thing, people get caught up in isms.
But and they emotionalize genuine frustration. I mean, let's be honest now. Sometimes people do things because of genuine frustration. Yes, their heart or their the way they're doing it. And in no way in shape am I advocating what they're doing. I just want to be honest. Nor do I advocate like what the KKK do or any extremist hate groups do. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is trying to give a reason for the behavior. Not necessarily that they're evil to the core.
It's a reason, but it's also we as observers can identify the cowardness of it. The failure of being a contributing human being on this earth. Because if it's just because of frustration, then I will go and strap a bomb on my chest, killing myself, committing suicide, which is a violation in a huge violation in my religion.
Oh, I think all religions.
And I've now succumbed to the very frustration that I have.
Ooh.
It's cowardice. It's cowardice. And then I will tell you this, where it's not suicide, but it's not beneficial, and it can only bring more harm. And that would be a person who gets frustrated and takes the law and his frustration out in society, picks up a gun and wants to shoot innocent people.
Yes.
And then the police come and shoot him. And now, what is the gain out of that? Nothing. It's like I had many arguments with Muslims about what happens in Palestine, about specifically suicide bombing. And, some people who are ignorant would emotionalize the subject. I don't emotionalize it. People say, well, this is their only... No, it's not your only alternative. Your only alternative is to kill yourself. And then after you kill yourself, the Israeli government comes and knocks down your whole neighborhood.
Talk about counterproductive.
So, exactly. And that's not how Muslims move. We don't move counterproductive when we're following our religion. We don't do that. We don't destroy. We're supposed to build.
As if there's like a built-in false flag element. Like the people that really want to do the harm and pain, they infiltrate the people that they're oppressing on whatever level, and they get those people to do violent acts to justify the dominant people to crush them.
Well, if you were a con artist, you always gotta pick a Vic, right?
Yep.
You gotta pick a Vic. And then when you pick the Vic, you gotta run game on them.
Yes.
And if the game doesn't stick, then he's not the Vic is not gonna move how you want to move. You can't pull the con off. But when you indoctrinate them and cut them off from education, proper education, then you've got a whole, you can say, a percentage of society, or a percentage of population who would be socially engineered into a certain kind of thinking by default.
Man.
Because if you're cut off from proper education and you got somebody running game on you, what can you expect?
So do you think that's what happened with those two young ladies? That people are saying basically, the ones that one wants to become a UK citizen, the other one wants to become an American citizen. And people are saying that, they're treasonous, they betrayed the governments, the respected governments or whatnot by joining ISIS. I don't know if they actually fought on the front lines or if they were just baby makers. What's the deal is with that? But what is your thoughts on that?
I'll explain that. Okay. Well, let's take it like this. First of all, how did they get there? It's because, like I remember in our conversation, I don't know if we were live or just talking.
No, we're live.
But I was telling you, post 9/11, we just went in this time warp, this vacuum that threw out all this information. Now the internet is narrowing, but it was wide open at that time. What happened was sometimes intelligence departments created these websites. Okay, sometimes people that weren't even Muslim created these websites, and then of course you had your people who had this corrupt belief. They built their websites, so you had this whole. You're in the sea of the internet, or I should say the universe of the internet, and a person just floating through the internet might see a video of this emotionalized video of Muslim suffering, and to a young impressionable mind, that would make you sad or cry seeing whatever they put on that video. Then the next stage is, that's how they're going to get you emotionally first. And then they slowly sneak in corrupted ideas. And that's how these girls got in now. Now, when these countries started to have these uprisings, Libya, Syria, Egypt, well, Egypt didn't go totally down, man, and get into all these little different groups like Syria and Libya did, but you had and Iraq, and you had these people online who were recruiting and spreading corrupt ideologies. Look, these guys are going to fight the holy war, and they don't have wives. Come and be a wife to a man who's going to go to the highest level of heaven when he dies in war. So after they drug in you all through these emotionalized videos, and like I said, they put in these false religious principles mixed in with that. Then a girl, let's say, if you listen to that girl's story, that one girl's story, where their family wasn't that religious, but they were isolating her, and they obviously isolated her. Plus, didn't communicate with her. They had no relationship. So the internet was there in place, and that's what she found. And now, boom, she do whatever, hooks up, finds out there's a whole bunch of networker girls like her on Twitter.
Yep.
Okay, and now they're chatting it up on Twitter, and you get the excuse my French again, you get the mind fuck more again. Yeah. So everything just facilitates itself one by one until those girls are on the plane, going into I don't want to say no man's land, but you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, military.
Going into, you never know what's going to happen at the end. And I'm sure everything that they expected was not what it was. because it's just not going to be what they're selling. That's just the reality.
Right. And not to mention,
it's basically remote control gangbanging is what it is.
Never even thought about it like that. Get everybody hyped.
How in 2019 how you survive with all this technology, with all these big military, with all these big, it's remote control gangbanging. It's remote control gangbanging, and I'm not going to point the finger on who's got their hands on the remote controls, but how you get bullets, how you get bombs continuously. You don't run out of bullets. Who's supplying you?
I think we all know.
What happens when your gun's jammed? Who's healing you when you get injured? Come on, man. Let's keep it real, man. This is some fuck shit, right?
Well,
man, I'm sorry, man.
No, it's all good.
Are we really? Are we really? Are we live?
Yeah, we've been live for a little bit, but
but no, because I'm passionate about this because
yes,
you know, as an American Muslim.
Well, but I just wanted to throw this out there real quick. Not trying to cut you off, but I got the picture of the young lady that we were talking about, right? Now, she really wanted to get back to the United States with that baby. And she already, at one point in time, had a passport. Couldn't she have just straight up lied, said, hey, I didn't have no involvement with nobody. I met this guy. It didn't work out, you know, and I was trapped in a war zone. Now I want to try to get out. Couldn't she have just said that? Or do you think ISIS provides the State Department with a list of all their operatives? Because that's the way the news was trying to make it sound like you know, she signed up.
I tell you what, man, at the end of the day, sometimes we just never know. Anything's possible nowadays. You just never know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a news story.
Yes.
You mean, and there's another thing we got to consider. If these two came out, how many more others are like her?
Well, apparently the men, I mean, I'm not talking, of course, men ain't like her, but the men were repatriated and tried, all right, the ones that they captured. But then, you know, and not to be cheap.
And I know that's guaranteed to happen.
Yeah, but
that's guaranteed to happen. There's no way she's going to get back to the United States soil without I would say, indicted, charged, and then eventually convicted.
But you know what? It just came to me. She probably did that for that baby. She probably wants to try to get the baby in the United States, so it'll have United States citizenship as well.
Now, if she's trying to really recover, you know, she's trying to recover and prepare her life and say, hey, I'll take the time on the chin, and hopefully my family can do legal things so they can have, you know, they take care of my kid and I'll do my time. I mean, okay, but I mean, just the subject matter in the way they're running in the media is like a huge, look, if you understand how the federal government works, there's no question this girl, if she comes back, let's not even entertain the conversation, excuse me, of what's going to happen, or what should happen to her, because we know what is going to happen to her. And that's what it is. She's no way she's going to get out of this without going to federal prison.
But has there been anyone executed, you know, that came back?
Well, think about it. John Walker Lynn joined the Taliban. Again, that was another thing. They said it was the Islamic State, and they got a bunch of guys to go over there and fight. Somalia is the same thing. When the Somalis tried to do this, and so what happened to John Walker Lynn? They sent. I think he took a deal maybe for 17 years.
So he could be out.
He's probably he might be out now. He might be out. John Walker Lynn, close to getting out.
Yeah, this is
a lot of look. If you go back and look through cases of people who, I will say the case, well, that's not overseas, but you talk about the overseas people, they that came back or got arrested over there,
right?
Especially the ones that were American, they all went to federal prison. Nobody got out of that. Execution? No, I don't think so. Well, yeah, there are some cases of, you could say,
execution
let's say,
in the field.
Yeah, execution on the field.
Okay, yeah, that's the heat of the battle type deal. But
no. Somebody that they wanted to get, but hadn't gotten, but got intelligence on their whereabouts, and they knocked them off. Oh, that's happened a lot to American citizens. That's happened.
No due process involved.
That's happened
because they're on foreign soil and foreign combatants, I guess.
Well, at that time, you understand, that's when laws, as they said, the gloves are coming off. You know, so they were working in gray areas.
Yes.
So that you could place all this person's stuff so high, you know, and put it under the label of national security, and where certain people couldn't touch it, and then those people that could touch it, they could label him as an enemy of the state.
You know, that's such a funny term to say, national security, because that policies almost certainly ensures the lack of liberty and freedom for citizens in the name of national security.
Well, the thing about it is, if you give them smoke and fire, your ass is grass. And if there's a war going on, and you know, knowingly go and join that side or pledge affiliation to that other side during war, and you're actually active and still have maybe connections inside the United States, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
You know,
if you get in the radar, it's a wrap.
It is a wrap.
Yeah, it's a wrap. So those people that got caught, you know, and actually, if you know John Walker Lynn's story, their place got sieged and so you know, attacked so hard by the U.S. forces that they were like there was a place that was flooded out, and they were like barely holding on to something in there, and it was freezing and all kind of crazy stuff. And they had basically surrendered. You know, they were captured. They were, you know, had. I bet you there was a part of him before he knew how they was going to treat him. I bet you was a part of him. He was happy to be rescued. He was happy to be arrested over there. Because if you see those early pictures of John Walker Lynn, he was in terrible shape.
I'm pulling it.
So I mean, and that's the same thing with this little girl. She's in such poor health, and you know, even if she's lying and she was really believing like them, full flesh, not just going over there on those what they call it jihadi wives type deals. Even if she really believed and she was a, you know, staunch down member, by now, you know, she gave in, because it's all you got conned. So the con is gonna wear off after a while.
Yes, it is.
You know, once yeah.
So
those scenarios are going to test your will and boast. And when you've been pumped up on emotion and false principles, reality hits you hard like a ton of bricks, I'm sure.
Now,
I'm sure.
Moving to a slightly different topic in the same general area. Have you heard about the Israeli government shutting down the access to the mosque, the Temple of the Dome mosque on the temple complex area?
Right. And this is all tying in to all the stuff we've been talking about.
Yeah. If I were saying, you remember the last time we talked, I said
last days. This is all tied in to the Antichrist and Jesus speaks upon him coming back and Gog and Magog and all this stuff. Yes, I've heard those things. And the situation in Palestine and the situation with Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock, this has been an ongoing issue for years, and I don't think it's ever going to stop because, as our religion tells us, when the Antichrist emerges and when Isa descends from the heavens to earth, the situation in Palestine is a bad situation. But the thing about the Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock is there's a certain group of Jews, and I don't want to be labeled as an anti-Semitic, but there's a certain group of Jews that want the books, who they believe the books of magic left there by Prophet Solomon, peace be upon him.
What, the Cabal, or the one that talks about the 72 demons he controlled?
Well, I don't know right now. I know I have this on my computer, but I don't know right now exactly what they specifically call those books. I know in Arabic they call it Haykal Suleiman, and this is supposed to be this is what the Jews believe to be the secret, because of the prophets. Solomon was given dominion by God to control the jinn. He had control over them. They worked for him. They built for him. They were builders. Was there a certain number the
text told how many he controlled? What was the number?
I don't know that.
Oh, that's fine.
I don't know.
I'll get it back.
Yeah,
I didn't know if you
I
had
don't know that. I don't know. I've never read anything that there was a specific number.
Okay.
I've never read anything like that. And that doesn't say that it doesn't exist, but I've never. From what I know is that he controlled. He had dominion. He had control over them, and they worked for him.
Doesn't that just give you a different spin on the whole aspect of King Solomon's wisdom? It was magic in nature.
Well, yeah, every prophet was given something miraculous. Every prophet was giving something miraculous above and beyond the normal man, outside of just revelation with God, just to prove to the people that he was a prophet. So, so you had Jesus, peace be upon him, bringing the dead back to life, giving sight to the blind, giving the mute the ability to speak, the deaf hearing. Okay, you had Moses spoke directly to God, the only prophet to speak directly to God. Moses also, with his staff, when he was in front of Pharaoh, he had the magician who had sleight of hands, but Moses showed real magic. Meaning every prophet had something miraculous. And the thing that was miraculous for Solomon was his power over the jinn.
And that made me think of, the last conversation where we kind of went into the magic aspects and the jinn and how they kind of operate.
Right. That's where all this technology is going, because all this, where our society is going, it's going to bridge the gap between magic and technology.
Yes. Yes.
It's going to bring the gap and science. Well, it's all related.
Well,
it's all
like
tied in together
at this point.
Well, if you see where technology, and they're not hiding it, you see where technology is going. It's going to bridge the gap between the magic and you could say it's all where it's really complicated because I don't want people to confuse how I'm trying to articulate it, but it's just going to bridge the gap in another dimension. Okay, human beings, jinn are around us. They're already, and they have the ability to influence us. When humans tap into magic, that's when they're able to access that power. Okay, right. And to a normal person, that's magic. That's miraculous because a normal person can't do it. You don't know. That's why the books of magic are secret.
Right. Anyone can do it if they know the proper thing, but they don't want to.
But those people that are in the magic, they know they have to travel the world. It's a secret. It's like a secret. It's not easy to tap into the strongest types of magic. And what I'm saying is technology and science is going to bridge that gap, and the effects of those evils are going to be more readily accessible through technology.
Well, yeah, I mean, not to be, like cliche or whatever, but look at what we're doing right now. We're literally talking on the other side.
I can give you exactly. You're right. Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Well, it's just like if certain apps affect on the brain. How many people, if you can do this on your own research about different people who killed or have been committed suicide based on an app telling them to do it. Now, some people might look at that in the surface and say, how can you say that's magic? And I'm not definitively saying that it is, but when you look at the evidence, and look at the research, and look at technology, and me as a Muslim coming from a Muslim background, having a kind of a clear understanding of the jinn and how they work, okay, I can see the connection. And then I can look at all of these famous scientists that say the highest level of science is magic. So for me making that hunch, saying that it's all gonna come. I mean, it's if we live to see it, and you're not, and you're in the society hasn't fallen into despotism, and let's say we live in this highly technological society, this 5G it's to where people will really not know reality. Some people, because it's already happening. If you're really watching what's happening on Instagram, instead of just participating in it, and what's happening on YouTube and social media in general, what we're seeing is people are changing.
Yes.
As if humans are evolving, those who allow themselves to be, they're actually evolving. And what I mean by that is, for some people, their natural self is disconnected from their online self.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens online is real life. It's not just electronic digital screen. No. People that they've never met, never talked to, never reached out and touched, that say bad things to them, hurt them so much that they might commit suicide. Internet bullying.
Yeah.
That's human evolution right there. Because that means that the person is having a digital, something that's not even real, but it's affecting emotions. It's touching. You can turn the computer off.
Right.
You can unsubscribe. You can delete your account. I'm done with Facebook. I can't deal with these comments. But they don't, because that is their reality. Now let that step up to avatar level. When you have a personalized avatar with super level AI where they're having a full conversation with you and reminding of your day. There's people that have, and then to think about it, how they're trying to indoctrinate people in, well, I don't want to say indoctrinate, how they are trying to introduce people to not have human sex.
Yes.
You have
robots and all that craziness.
Exactly. So this is what I'm saying. Imagine a person. Okay, you already have VR, right?
Right.
You know VR. You put on the headset.
Yeah.
Okay, we already got that. You already got the lifelike dolls. You already have in Japan and China. You have the jack off machines. Well, they have the bar. They have the jack off bar in the UK. Okay, the salon they call it. Stopping humans from having sex with humans.
I got it up right now for people on TV to see these robots that look like women.
Now imagine when AI gets to the level to where you have this avatar. It could even, you have this avatar that pops up when everything is all digital. Let's say digitalized, or you even have it on your regular flat screen TV you have now, and this avatar pops up. And this avatar, excuse me, I think you call it a person. This avatar, this AI robot. Let's say you can say that you might have an avatar program in a robot in your house, and this person has a full. It's kind of like, you remember, like in Iron Man, his AI computer
Jarvis. Yeah.
Right. You see how how human that is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if people lose reality now, how about when that happens? And now when you talk about magic, the influence of the demonic world and all this, man, it becomes so, for people that aren't grounded.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking. Okay, if you're seeing people use Flocka and that turns them into zombies,
right?
Flocka. Wait till.
Oh, it's out here.
Well, I'm not gonna say wait till. Let's when that 5G and that technological society that they want to create, that's when you're gonna see the same results of what Flocka does. But you can come through digital, electronic means or technological means, because the human being. You think about it. You remember that old psychology documentary about the kids who were raised in like, I think they were raised in a convent, but they had no human contact.
Like they're almost fairy.
They were just these little kids. I saw it when I was in college. There was these kids that were like in an enlarged crib, and there's about 3 or 4 kids, and they kept these kids away from all human contact.
Why?
And these kids, I can't remember the exact result of it, but it was devastating. So imagine what the human is experiencing now through apps. You have the blue whale. People killed themselves over this app. You had the app, the other app that killed I think it was a girl or a young teenage boy killed himself in Australia over an app.
Oh my God, that's retarded.
Oh, Oh yeah, I mean, there's been a few deaths for apps in Saudi Arabia. The blue whale. I would say the blue whale has killed about 5 kids in Saudi Arabia.
What does the app do?
That I don't know, but I know it's devastating to some kids.
Man,
look at what Pokemon Go did to society.
Oh yeah,
it turned humans into zombies. Yeah. All you gotta do is type that into YouTube. Pokemon Go zombies. That's an app, man. Something that doesn't even exist. It's just a digital thing. And it created zombies.
That is crazy. Oh, hold on.
So that's what I'm getting at in terms of magic in the demon world. It's gonna, I believe, based on what I've researched, and I can't go through all that right now, but my end-all assumption, educated or researched assumption, is that it's just gonna open up something that is unseen to us now. And it's still, for the most part, going to be unseen, but the level of manipulation is going to increase 100,000 or million-fold.
Oh man, I just typed into the chat bar for TV people. Satan programs for Satan, thinking like computer programs, maybe more apps. But this thing shot back after school Satan programs. And there's a lot of them. Teaching, satanic temple.
Oh man, look. All this stuff has been slowly growing and growing and growing.
Oh yeah.
And the people who are in the influential people that are part of those groups now, they say, hey, now it's the time to we've been behind the curtain. Let's show our ass a little bit.
And they are.
And so that's why you see these satanic symbols being erected in different places in the city, and the people, the free thinkers are going to tell you, oh,
it's just a joke.
It's just, no, you got it all wrong. It's just, see, when the white man got it, they manipulated. That's really our stuff. That's the true African tradition. You're going to hear that one. And you're going to hear, this is the secret essence. Every human being can be God, and you're going to hear all the different excuses or different sweet words to cover the ultimate reality. That it's just all different sects.
Here's the point with that, every human being being God, because I've heard that one too much. If everyone becomes God, then the honor of God is diminished. There's only one. There isn't 10. There's not 12. There's not 2. There's not
exactly
one. The rest are imitators.
This is powerful,
but they're just imitators.
This is what you just said has always been my argument. Because I say, if you say that gods existed and all at one time, because you'll hear different groups say, oh, the gods.
Yes.
What's the purpose of calling it a god? If there's more than one.
Exactly.
Exactly. Even if there's more than one, that whatever you're talking about is less than.
Word. It changes the very meaning of the word.
Exactly.
And that's what the enemy's here to do.
So those are
change shit.
So the reality is that they're not God. Is what people have taken as God.
Right.
They've raised their rank above. They've raised them to a level that they don't deserve.
No, but now once
again, even through their idiocy, trying to describe it.
I want to clarify this so people truly get to understand it. There are beings out there, both human, well, not too many humans actually, but other beings that have tremendous power. Where if you came in contact with these things, you would be deceived. Be, oh my God, this is no. The real God, the true God, doesn't have to operate like that. You know, if he comes at you to where you're seeing him, he's either coming against you because you just got way too wicked or whatever out of hand, and he's going to destroy you. So you don't really even have to worry. But like when people say they were abducted by aliens, just did a show about this the other day. They're abducted by aliens. Sometimes that could be a person in a suit trying to get over on you. And as we know, technology is getting to such a degree to where we have these holograms, and you can just blast up anything in the sky, and people will literally see it and fall for it without getting anything tangible. See, a hologram cannot give you nothing tangible, but what you feel or draw off of seeing it. Versus, say, a magician that can make a rabbit pop up out of a hat.
Well, you know, I have always been, throughout the years, a fan, since I was even in elementary school, of reading the books about the dark side and trying to understand. And that led me, as I got older, listen to shows like Art Bell. You know, I used to listen to Art Bell way back in the 90s. Yeah, Coast to Coast. I used to listen to Art Bell way back in the 90s. And then I did my own research about, you know, UFOs and stuff like this. Well, not UFOs, abductions. And I came to the conclusion that I believe that the alien abductions, minus certain stories, but the general common alien abductions, which is some of the stuff you mentioned, were experiments. Because everybody has a couple of things in common. Number one, they were always dreaming. They were always dreaming. If you listen to every single abduction story, they were always asleep first. Or they fell asleep and then they will, you know, and they woke up and they were half asleep but they couldn't move, and they experienced butt probe and all that other stuff that we've heard 1,000 times. And I'm not diminishing their story and saying that it didn't happen, but I believe they were victims of experiments. And I'm not saying who did it, because we understand the world. It doesn't have to be the big bad government that everybody said. It could be
crazy
some crazy ass scientist who got a $1 billion grant from some section of the government, or some philanthropic big multi-conglomerate multinational company who gave him $1 billion to figure something out. And they ran the experiment. I believe they're all experiments, because the stories are too similar, and they all, you know, no matter who you listen to, they're very like the same exact thing. So it's like, how come random people all over the country, all over the world, if there was aliens, why is it just these stories come out of America or Mexico?
Well, because aliens don't want to go to what Trump say shithole countries. Aliens only want to go to quote unquote first world countries and all that stupid shit. You know, come on, man.
You just don't want to run experiments except for on a certain population. That's what I think, man.
There it is.
Now UFOs is a different thing, but the abductions, that's what I think about the abductions. I think they're all experiments. It's just, and I know there's enough evil people out there to run experiments on people just like that, because if you do your research, look at the Tuskegee experiment. Look at the experiment that was the YouTube documentary a few years ago, maybe like 3-4 years ago, of there was the last living group of those black men that they did
syphilis. They did the syphilis
nuclear nuclear. No. It wasn't syphilis. These were harsh. The guy has a hole in his head. In fact, there's a documentary. I think it's called "The Man with a Hole in His Head." It's a black man in his 70s or 80s who was a victim of that experiment. So look, I think it's the man with a hole in his head. And not to mention, there's been all kinds of. I mean, look at the what was that? The Berkeley experiment. You remember that the college students where they put them in the jail, and they put them under stringent different scenarios, and you just see how the pecking order goes, and who becomes the leader, and who fights who, and who's the Judas goat, and who's you had that experience. There's tons of experiments. So for someone to run an experiment to see if Americans would believe in alien abduction, considering how entertainment has taught us about this subject, because look at how many movies all the way back into the 40s were dealing with alien abduction.
Well, yeah.
Hit us again in the 70s with the Close Encounters.
And the
okay,
TV show.
so why wouldn't you run some experiments if you got the damn entertainment doing it? If you're sending the message through entertainment, why wouldn't you see if somebody? I mean, I'm not saying why would you specifically, but or any specific entity, but why amongst the population of people, I'm sure there's some idiot out there that wanted to say, well, I wonder what it would be like if you did a few, come on. What do you think about this?
The guy in Texas,
what do you think? What do you think? I'll tell you what experiment that's going on right now. The experiment that's going on right now is the targeted individuals. That's an experiment. I'm sorry. I've done enough research in my life for me to conclude that it's not a government so-called conspiracy in that context. They're to me, they're experimenting on people. It's an experiment.
So
because if it was a real program,
or like
if it was a real, gang stalking and targeted individuals is a wide subject because they use various different techniques, and some of the some of the stuff on the internet is fake. So what is it? It has to be because something so sensitive like that has to it requires, for those who need protection, it requires to have some disinfo out there. But the fact of it actually existing, targeted individuals and gang stalking, this is a real phenomenon. Now, who's behind it? I'm not going there because you have to have evidence to prove it.
Right.
And to say it's just the government, I don't even like to hear that. If you can't name the department, don't say the government. Especially if we look at how the government is so fragmented today in 2019 right now, where you all out gang banging right now in the U.S. government. Why are you going to just throw a blanket term like the government? I mean, there's parts of the government. There's alphabet boys in departments. We don't even. If you heard it, you didn't even know it existed. Everybody is always the CIA. I remember listening to one guy who's retired from the NSA. He said everybody talks about the CIA. He said, what about the DIA? He says they have, what did he say? They have maybe 100 times the budget, and they have, I think 10 times the staff.
Or owning.
And he said if you think that the CIA has carte blanche, he said these guys, nobody. I mean, if you think they have carte blanche, you don't even want to mess with these guys.
And that's the DIA?
So I mean, you know, there's aspects of it. That's This is what I heard in the interview. So don't hold me to that. But I did hear that in an interview from a guy talking about what I'm saying right now is how ignorant people blame the government and don't know where it's coming from, don't know even how the government functions. If there are like sometimes rogue groups within the government that this guy has a connection and he's hooked up here and he's able to get a black budget where he gets money and he doesn't have to account for it, and he has a staff and they're classified, their identity is classified, so nobody knows what they do and what they're doing with their money and what they don't have to answer to nobody. Well, so 3-star. Are you going to blame the whole government for that? I mean, are you going to blame the whole government for that little rogue group that carved a little gray area to do out their own biddings? Hey, man, I think if you're going to be a truth teller, you need to do the diligent research and name the part of the government that it comes from. Yes. You know, for real. And like I say, if you understand, and another thing you have to understand, that the government is privatized, man. You got, some things that are not meant to be said on live. I know what you're saying. I can show you companies that are privatized, and there are guys that they maybe took that department out of the government, or it lost funding or whatever. They just started up a business, private company. With government, and they do the same function. Well, I'm not going to say that. They might get a grant. They might get a hookup here or there. I mean, you never know how it ultimately goes down. But there's a whole bunch of privatization. That's the name of the game now. That's the name of the game now. I mean, eventually, this is my prediction. Eventually, this whole private military stuff is going to get out of hand to where it's not even governments that have them, and it's already happening. You're going to have first corporations, and then you're going to have individual people with their own private military, and they already do. They already got it. I'm talking about private individual like me. I'm talking about people like Bill Gates or Facebook guy. They all got like 40, 60 guys. Private. Yeah, some. No, I ain't talking like no 40, 60 guys. Well, you're talking about like Blackwater. My prediction is, Michael Pence and his organization. I'm talking about not to that degree, because they're in for business, so they have expanded numbers to cover their clients. But I'm talking about, let's say like the De Beers. Let's say like the De Beers. Yeah, I'm sure they got something. The De Beers is probably gonna they can get. What I'm just saying, they probably have hookups, but I'm talking about somebody like them. They're gonna have some toys and some men. You know what I mean? Yeah. Meaning their own military that can protect their assets regardless of the country. Where I don't care what about the country. I'm caring about protecting my own butt. Yes. And I think that's going to eventually evolve to individuals, where an individual might have a small standing army of 100 or 200 men, and have a bunch of, you might have a couple fighter helicopters and a fighter ship at sea, or maybe a submarine. I believe it's going to evolve to that. Oh, you're really talking about like El Chapo? Yeah. Because El Chapo. El Chapo had a street mentality. He didn't have a global mentality. The De Beers and these kind of individuals, Bill Gates and and then Mark Zuckerberg. These are international people, and it's in your interest to have. I mean, you can't be. For me, if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't want to have access to whatever I needed to have access. Let's say I was giving a speech somewhere in the country, and there was an attack. It wasn't really hitting me. I don't want the basic security. I want my military to get me out of there. My own personal military. Look at Donald Trump. You see how his security crushes the Secret Service all the time. Before, when he was when they assigned Secret Service to him when he was running to be president. You still there?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, I couldn't hear you. Yeah, so when they assigned Secret Service to him, he still had his own private security, and you would always see where his private security would step in and solve the issue. I don't think they're going to stop trying to kill him.
Well, once, like you said, once you target an individual for whatever purpose, and we're not going to go into some spy program type scenario, but it is what it is. I mean, that's why it's important to stay prayed up. It's important to stay spiritually focused and centered, because
well,
that's a form of protection.
I need to. If I may interject, you said something that so this is something for you to Google. You said I don't want to go into some deep spy thing, right? Okay. Just Google the guy who got arrested in the Trump Towers before he was elected president, and then do a background research on his story.
What's his name? That
guy was supposed to have been killed. Man, you're gonna hurt me right now. I'm gonna just search my hard drive. I'm gonna just type in a keyword and see if it'll come up. I got the guy's name, because I did. But that guy was an FBI agent who, it's in this file. See.
Councilman Jermaine Williams.
No, this is the guy who they arrested, who snuck into the Trump Towers. Look at where I got, because I have.
Paul Manafort.
No. Okay, I'm gonna Google it because I know how to get it.
Politician arrested at Trump Towers.
Okay. Snopes.com. Deceased Deceased FBI agent found at Trump Towers with silenced pistol. You heard that?
Yeah, this stupid. My computer, my keyboard is just totally not wanting to work. Hold on. Hold on. I got to cut and paste this the old-fashioned way. Hold on. You said deceased FBI agent found at Trump Tower?
With silenced pistol.
Okay, got it. Hold on 1 second.
The New York Police Department captured a supposedly deceased FBI agent. Hold on. Breaking into Trump Tower with a silenced pistol.
Deceased FBI agent found with a
second of.
I bet you it's probably this one. Citizen.
His name is Barry Lee Bush. Barry Lee Bush. On the 2nd of August, 2016.
Yeah, 28th of August.
And he was supposed.
There it is. I got him up here.
He was supposedly killed. See, now look, he's supposedly killed in 2007 and captured in Trump Towers with a silenced pistol just before the election.
Wow!
You see how it works?
They bring back people. The Democrats bring back.
So he had a fake. He had a. Well, that's called sheep dipping. If you get sheep dipped, you're gonna have a death. And everybody in your family has to all go along with it, and then you become an assassin.
Invisible person. Well, on that note, we gotta wrap it up. It's getting late here, and I gotta go to sleep. We're at like an hour, 20-minute point.
Sure.
I want to bring you back on. Right on. Obviously, I am going to have you back on, and we're going to go in deeper on more of the magic and the spiritual side of this thing, because I think we all can see the physical side. We all can see the aftermath, but I think very few of us see the whole situation of how this thing has to come together to even play out. But that being said, thank you guys for watching Special Report. This is, once again, live your life of integrity without hate, envy, or greed. Let's try to be kinder to each other. And a peace.